Still now. Everyday techniques to help you be the very best version of you. So hi, here we are. I'm Gerard Evans and I'm joined by John Wilde. Hello John.
Hello Joe.
And today we're going to talk about sleep and how important it is, and obviously we're going to discuss ways you can sleep better, particularly if you're having problems, which you probably are if you're listening to this. So yeah, sleep is one of the most important parts of our life, and very much has an effect on our well-being one way or the other. So do you want to kick off by sort of talking about that a little bit, John?
Yeah, it's a good night's sleep is something that for those of us lucky enough to be able to sleep a good 8 hours a night or whatever, it's very easy to sort of take that for granted. But the fact is, the stats show that even though a good night's sleep is one of the most important things that we can get in our lives, the very foundation of good health and well-being, we're sleeping less and less and less. I think the average now for an adult is, I think we sleep to about 7 hours on average, and I think 5% of people now sleep 5 hours or less a night. And there's a whole range of factors that feed into that. We live more and more in a kind of 24-hour society, I guess. But back in the day when we were growing up, Gerard, we would have had 3 channels on the TV and very little in the way of distraction.
Yeah, and they all stopped at 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah, and you were meant to stand up when the BBC closed down at 10:30, I think it was at one point. They played the national anthem.
Yeah,
and a small percentage of the country would actually stand up to it and salute and that kind of thing. So this is massively important, and so what we're talking here is mostly about a meditation based approach to sleep to enable everyone and anyone to get a good night's sleep. But before we come to that, I think we should talk a little bit about, before we come to the meditations themselves, I'm going to talk generally a bit about sleep hygiene, which is nothing to do with removing the biscuit crumbs from your sheets after you've had a midnight snack. It's to do with how you can prepare, the kind of practices you can do and the things you can do to make a good night's sleep more conducive, your life more conducive to a good night's sleep.
Absolutely.
One of those is the bedroom itself, and there's a sort of a kind of time-honoured expression which says that really the bedroom is for sleep and it's for sex, if you're kind of lucky enough to be getting any of that.
Yeah.
And so as part of that, this is really important. I think increasingly we kind of use our bedrooms for other things. We might have a bedroom that also doubles up as an office. We might have got into the habit of working in the bedroom a lot, having a laptop on our knees and stuff. I mean,
TV.
Technology increasingly seems to have invaded the bedroom. So what we're talking about here is just getting a few things right, if you can help it, So getting into a kind of clutter-free environment, or a less cluttered environment where, if it's possible, no TV, computer or radio in your bedroom. Keeping the bedroom as dark as possible at night. So if there is light kind of coming in through the curtains or the blinds, and it's within your budget, maybe look at that. Maybe you get heavier curtains.
Right.
And also we live in increasingly kind of noisy times, don't we? Noisy neighbours, traffic. If you happen to have a noisy bedroom and you're having trouble sleeping, there might be a really obvious connection there. So invest in a really good pair of earplugs. Would be the first thing. And the best kind to buy, in my experience, are silicone earplugs. You can get them from most good chemists.
Yeah, you get them on the internet. I use them as well.
Right, the ones that sort of mould to the inside of your ear.
Yeah.
And really do block out most sound. So that's really important. But as you kind of go through your evening, there's perhaps other things. There's kind of do's and don'ts that you might want to consider. That will be, kind of just. This is all really about preparing you for sleep, making you more prepared to drop off at night. So,
Absolutely.
if you're doing these things at the moment, if these things have become habit, then you might want to take a look at them and maybe undo the habit. So it's making choices that occur, that are particularly in the evening, that are more conducive to a good night's sleep, and it's things you can do during the day. Regular exercise is good. We should all be kind of doing a little bit of that, even if you just take a short walk every day, if that's all you're up for.
Absolutely, even if you're sleeping like a baby, everyone should exercise regularly.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Daytime naps. I mean, we're unlike the Spanish. We're not in the habit. We're not generally in the habit of taking long siestas during the afternoons. That's partly to do with the climate, but there is a kind of golden rule here, which is that if your sleep is being affected, you might want to take a look at, how often you're napping throughout the day and for how long. So there's a kind of rule of thumb here, which is if you're going to take a daytime nap, don't make it longer than 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just I think what they call, generally known as like power naps. You take 20 minutes, and that can be restorative in itself. You don't need to. The thing is, if you go, I'll just put a head on the pillow and kind of float away for a few minutes, you might find yourself sleeping much longer than the 20 minutes, and therefore it may not be too surprising that you're having trouble then getting to sleep at nights, or also maybe waking up in the middle of the night, or waking up much earlier than you need to.
Yeah.
If you're sleeping an hour or two in the afternoon, that's likely to follow.
Okay. And things like coffee, I presume?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about coffee is what people maybe don't realise is it has a half-life of 7 hours, and what that means is that if you Gerard, drink a cup of coffee at 7 p.m. in the evening, 50% of that caffeine will be circulating in your body still at 1:30 p.m.
Wow, I didn't know that.
6.5 hours later.
Yeah.
Something else to bear in mind about coffee as well, that people sometimes talk about decaf, thinking that they mean non-caffeinated, and that's not the case. And it's actually a fact that 1 cup of decaf contains something like 15% to 30% of the dose of a regular coffee.
Blimey.
Yeah. So
that is shocking, isn't it?
It is shocking.
Yeah.
So don't think that by just having a cup of decaf in the evening that you've gotten away with it. It's
and of course it pops up in Coca-Cola and various other things as well. Doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. All that stuff: black tea, chocolate, energy drinks, soda, and all that kind of thing. So if you're drinking soda in the evenings and you're having trouble drifting off, there may be a connection there. Brings us on to alcohol. Heavy drinking, not recommended if you're having problems sleeping. It's likely to keep you up for apart from any other reason, because you can end up sort of visiting the toilet, needing to visit the toilet throughout the night and that kind of thing. So
and you're not going to get quality sleep after heavy drinking, are you?
Absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely right. And as you're kind of gearing up for bed, it's best to go to bed not feeling too hungry or too full up. So a little sense here of the middle way of kind of being it's fine to have a meal in the evening and stop eating when you need to stop eating, but going to bed too full or indeed too hungry is likely to cause problems. And as you wind down throughout the evening, things that it might be wise to avoid, let's say for up to like 2 hours before bed, the obvious things: social media, smartphones. It might be wise to choose, if you're going to watch TV, and we're not saying don't watch TV in the evenings, but we're saying if you're going to choose TV to watch, choose something quite relaxing. I mean, probably best to avoid things like horror films, high-octane action movies before bed.
So basically we're saying that anything that is going to overstimulate you by the sounds of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think comedy is probably quite a relaxing thing to be watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing too dark, but this is all about preparation. It's all about kind of increasing the chances of us being ready for sleep.
Yeah.
It's
about being your own best friend, isn't it? Really, I think it's very easy to fall into autopilot, where you sort of end up doing all these things that are gonna stop you sleeping simply because you're not really thinking about it, and so you shouldn't give yourself too hard a time. If you're sitting there thinking, blimey, I've just ticked a lot of the boxes they're saying don't do this, because we all sort of, very, very few of us manage 100% success rate with these things. But the more of the kind of damaging stuff you can cut out, the better.
And listen to your body. That's really important. If you at the point in the evening when you're starting to feel sleepy, that's the time to start preparing for bed, rather than think, I'll give it another 2 episodes of The Sopranos. I mean, most of us have been there. That sense of kind of, God, I could really do get into bed now, but
Well, anyone who's watched Breaking Bad has been there.
Right. Another one.
Oh, it's 4 a.m.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe save that for the weekends when you've got time for a lie-in, or maybe a little more kind of like naps on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon. But if you've got to get up for work, and it's a fairly obvious point, isn't it?
Yeah, surely.
So, broadly speaking, that's kind of it in terms of what we want to say about sleep hygiene. So how does meditation fold into this? Well, what we're saying is that meditation is, if you like, a big part of the jigsaw here, in the sense of really preparing us.
And we should say, I suppose, for the benefit of people who are new to listening to us, that we both meditate. We're both mindfulness teachers, and meditation is pretty much proven to help you sleep better, isn't it? Scientifically proven.
Absolutely. So the meditations that we're offering with this pack, they're very simple to use, and what they're really designed for is again to help us be prepared, to put us in a position where we're more ready for sleep. One of the common reasons that people find it difficult to sleep is an overactive mind. Now here's the sort of the problem scenario with sleep and overthinking, which is throughout the day we might be prone to overthinking, but we also got, these days at least, infinite kind of possibilities in terms of how to distract ourselves from our thoughts. When our head hits the pillow and we're in a state of overthinking, that's it. It's just us and the pillow. There is no distraction. I think that's one reason why people find that a real problem. They go to bed, they've got a worry on their mind, or they're ruminating about the events of the day just past. And this can really sort of take a grip. And what meditation can do is really, it can help bring us back into the moment, rather than having us kind of ruminate about the past and speculate about the future. In other words, being caught up in the sort of the kind of spiral of thoughts that are all too common, in terms of overthinking. Trying to sleep when your mind is overactive is like trying to sleep on a battlefield. Your mind is the battlefield in a sense. I'm sure we're all familiar with that sense of kind of trying to get to sleep, through gritted teeth.
Yeah, and that is an oxymoron, of course. Trying to relax is is a contradiction in terms.
So we're talking here about using meditation to shift our relationship to sleep. Sleep isn't something that we can necessarily control. Sleep is something that we do because we need it. It's a human need. It's often the things that get in the way that prevent us from sleeping. So we can't control sleep, but what we can do is cultivate a greater readiness to sleep. Your chances of a good night's sleep are enhanced greatly by, for example, having a mind that's stiller that's free of worry,
Yeah.
that's free of sort of, thoughts about the past, thoughts about the future, and thoughts about getting to sleep. So the range of meditations that we offer here, there's a nice choice going on, and I think some of it is about relating to thoughts in a different way. Some of it is based on the idea of coming into the body a bit more. So rather than get tangled up in our thoughts, we can, in the lead up to bed, we can just simply come into our body and find a still, relaxing space in which hopefully is more conducive to a good night's sleep.
Absolutely, yeah. Should we talk about insomnia, as in the state of mind where you're just lying there in the bed thinking, this isn't happening, this isn't happening, this isn't happening. What would you recommend people do in that situation?
Well, that's that. The meditations we're offering people here are kind of designed to, they're designed to work really for people who have trouble getting to sleep, who are in the habit of waking up in the middle of the night and then finding it difficult, and also people who just find themselves waking up too early. That sort of terrible 4:30, 5 o'clock thing where you're kind of awake, and it's almost like a sense of jet lag, isn't it? Yeah,
and you're sort of having a little internal conversation about, is this early enough to be called getting up, or is this still the middle of the night? And
I mean, it's in a sense the challenge is the same, isn't it? It's the challenge of getting to sleep, in a sense, is the same kind of challenge as waking up and then not being able to get back to sleep. Just as waking up too early, there's kind of three.
If you're in that situation, the first decision really is, do you lie in bed and try and get back to sleep, or do you get up and accept the situation as it is?
Well, I think that this is where the meditations come into play. But people are different. Everybody's sleep cycle is different from the next person's. We're all kind of unique in that sense. We all got. It's kind of highly unlikely that you're gonna, if you have a partner, that partner is gonna have exactly the same kind of sleep habits as you. One of you may enjoy lions on a Saturday, one of you may not. There's all kinds of differences. If you wake up in the middle of the night, what you're talking about, listen to one of these meditations. The best time to use these guided meditations are in the hour before bed. Just helping you with that sense of preparation, that sense of readiness for sleep, and on the occasions that you wake up in the middle of the night and you're struggling to get back to sleep.
I think one way that meditation has changed my relationship with sleep a lot is difference between acceptance and resistance. I think I used to just get very frustrated and very almost panicky if I had to be up early the next day. You wake up at 4:30 and you know your alarm's going off at 7 and you're thinking, these days meditation has taught me to just accept that it is what it is in those situations, and that stops me having a battle with myself, which in itself is kind of more relaxing.
I think. Yeah, it's all part of just having, sleep really shouldn't be the enemy. When sleep turns into the enemy, it's something that we're fighting with. I think that's when the real problems begin. Sleep isn't the enemy. Sleep is a need. It's as much a human need as eating and drinking water, and a few other things we might care to name. But those basically the very basic human needs, and we need to, if we're having difficulty sleeping, and we ought to say that if you suspect that you're not sleeping because of some deep-rooted, deep-seated health problem, then by all means you'd be advised to discuss that with your GP.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't a magic wand that we're presenting here that will solve that as well.
No. So really, in conclusion, what we're saying is, you'll have listened to this. I mean, we'd encourage you to read the PDF that contains other kinds of information about sleep and sleep problems, and use the meditations and explore each and every one. There may be this isn't gonna have a radical effect. Listening to one meditation isn't going to be life changing. This is, we'd like you to kind of look at this as a sort of longer process whereby you use the meditations. You choose the meditation, perhaps the one or two that might really work for you more than the others.
That's very important. Don't just listen to one meditation once and think, oh, nothing's happened. This is about cultivating habits. The habits that you mentioned at the start, of course, regarding coffee and TV and all that sort of thing, but also the habit of meditating. Meditating is incremental in that respect, isn't it? It kind of it builds up over time. So certainly, if you certainly for the first 7 days, I would say try and do it every day.
Yeah,
and just see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and enjoy. So good speaking with you. And
yes, thanks a lot for your time, John. So this has been the Still Now Solution for Sleep discussion, and we hope you've enjoyed it, and sleep well. For more information and more solutions, come and visit us at stillnow.co.uk.